as the Holy Prophet ﷺ was born at a time when the means of communication were not available at that time. So this was destined to be completed during the time of the promised Messiah. So that's why the promised Messiah said that there were two ages, two, let us say, periods. The period of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, that was to complete the religion. So that was completed. That was done. That's why he said, it is mentioned in the Holy Quran, Al-Yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati. The religion has been perfected and the favors of God have been, completed. Now the completion of the propagation of the religion, that could not have taken place at that time. Because just as I said, it was due to the lack of the means of communication. So that was destined for the time of the promised Messiah when the means of communication were made available. So now this is the time that this message is spreading far and wide due to the invention of all these science and technological advancement, and the whole mankind is becoming sort of one global family. This phrase is also becoming very popular, a global family, a global village. So this was destined only for the time of the promised Messiah. So thus, Baji Sahib mentioned that it can be achieved only through prayers and, like for example, Narmi or Akhlaq, with good morals and living examples of our own self. There's no other way, to use for this purpose like sword or weapons or anything. The only weapon is the weapon of prayers.
I think in this discussion we have been mentioning about the second coming of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I wonder if some of the people or listeners might be wondering as to what we are talking about. So I think it's time to explain this point. Actually, the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the chief and the best and the final law-bearing prophet for the whole of mankind, he came in the earlier period of Islam, when the Islam was founded. And fil ummiyin, in those Arab people among whom he was raised. That was his first advent which he took place. And then the Holy Quran in Surah Jummah makes it very clear that he is going to visit for a second time. Or we can say that his second advent is going to take place spiritually, because exactly self-same person is not supposed to come back. But the spiritual advent, second coming, would take place there. And that would be something which is a fact which is mentioned in the Holy Quran. So when this was mentioned before the companions of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, some of them wondered that who these people are going to be. They would be really very fortunate, but we would like to find out who these people would be. Then at that time, under instruction from Allah Almighty and His guidance, the Holy Prophet ﷺ put his hand on the shoulder of Hazrat Salman Farsi. And then he mentioned, Law kanal imanu in the suraya, la nalahu rajulun or rijalum min hawla. That if the faith had gone to Pleiades, then somebody from among these, that is to say, not Arabs, but the non-Arabs, somebody from them is going to bring back that faith back on the earth and instill in the hearts of people. So that also speaks that how the whole second coming was to take place. And also it tells us very clearly that the purpose of the second coming was really to bestow the real faith to the people, the faith that they had lost. And this was the condition in this period of latter days, and still we are seeing the same thing happening. So the time will take, it will take some time when ultimate objective will be achieved. But this is the main purpose of the advent of the promised Messiah ﷺ, to re-establish that real faith and belief in God, in the Holy Prophet ﷺ, in the Holy Quran, once again. And that objective was always in front of him, which he tried to achieve.
One question may arise from that is that the promised Messiah ﷺ was born in India. He was born in the Punjab, and the tradition of the Holy Prophet ﷺ mentions Hazrat Salman Farsi as being of the Persian descent. So the Messiah and Mahdi was to be of the Persian descent. How do we reconcile that he was he a Punjabi or from Persian descent?
Yes, Holy Prophet ﷺ very clearly said in that hadith which has been mentioned by Imam Sahib that he will not be Arab. very clearly. So those people who have this understanding that the promised Imam Mahdi should come from the Arabia, they must be corrected. Because Holy Prophet ﷺ has already told, and this has been mentioned in the book of Bukhari, which is the most authentic book of hadith. In fact, after the Holy Quran, this Bukhari is considered to be the most authentic. So, in that book it is said that the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that this reformer of the latter days, he will come from among the Persians. Now, as far as Masih Maud Islam is concerned, his family, in fact, is of Persian descent, because they came from Samarkand, which was part of the Persian Empire of that time. And the family of Hazrat Masih Islam migrated from Samarkand many hundred years before, and they settled in India. And you will see that Hazrat Masih Islam, mashallah, he was very good in Persian language. He has written a lot of poetry in Persian language. And we have also seen that he used to write letters to his father in Persian language. They are already preserved. So this was the language of the family, and this was the fulfillment of the prophecy of Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Now another point, those people who insist, that why not from the Arabia, they should also remember that Allah the Almighty has very clearly said, Allahu ya'lamu haythu yaj'alu risalatahu. It's Allah who decides from where He has to bring people. Even if this prophecy was not there, that this reformer will be from the Persian, still God, nobody can stop God that why you are choosing a prophet from the Japan, or why you are choosing from China, or why you are choosing from India. The whole world is God's world. He can select anyone He likes.
It's not the choice of people, it is the choice of God. The choice of Allah who has to send.
There's one question which possibly touches on that. It is from Vancouver in Canada. A viewer has emailed this question. It relates to this perhaps. Why did God raise the promised Messiah from such an underdeveloped country such as India?
Well, I think the answer has already been given, that it's the right and the sole right of Allah Almighty to decide from wherever and whosoever He has to pick up as the ambassador of God. The Prophet is the ambassador of God. So it's Allah, for Allah to choose whomsoever He likes. And the question that why He was chosen like that was also raised, the question at the time of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that why he has been chosen from there, why not from this and this. People always make such comments and make certain demands which actually does not fall in their domain. It is for Allah Almighty, and as the verse of the Holy Quran has been quoted, Allahu ya'lamu haythu yaj'alu risalatahu. Where Allah Almighty has to appoint a prophet, that is known to Allah, and Allah selects, and people have got nothing to say about that. And if people say that it's underdeveloped, then it's the decision of Allah Almighty that by raising a prophet into that underdeveloped country, if Allah Almighty wants to bless a land, as we firmly believe that by sending the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to Arabia, the whole country, the whole area, the whole region has been blessed with so many blessings which they are even benefit today, and they will continue to benefit till eternity. The only thing is they should know that these blessings are not because of them, but because of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
Well, and India was far more developed than Arabia of that time, I think, because Arabia, it was land of Ummiyin. So if God can choose one from the Ummiyin, from a country like Arabia, so India was still far more developed than of Arabia of that time. Otherwise, the British wouldn't have selected India to come and stay here for such a long time.
Moreover, I think all the religions, well-known, prominent religions, they were present in India. And India was being targeted at that time by the Christians, so that the whole India should be converted, which was described as a golden sparrow, that we should convert this golden sparrow, the whole of India, into Christianity. And they were even thinking beyond, that making it a fort and a platform, then they will advance to Arabia and do whatever they had in mind.
Say that this was a real battlefield actually.
Exactly. This is why Allah
That's the real answer actually.
So there was a specific reason, of course, we think, behind Allah's design in that respect as well.
The wisdom of God, it brought the promised Messiah to Sialkot, which was the seat of that time the Christian missionaries at that time. This was a very great center of the Christianity at that time. And the Promised Messiah was made to stay there for quite a few years so that he should know their tactics and their strategy and their main objection against Islam. So it was a sort of, let us say, a college time for the Promised Messiah to prepare for that great spiritual war, which ultimately he won afterwards.